Hello everyone and welcome back to the GeekWave. This is the low budget show. It's the show so low it has no budget. It is also one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Because we're talking space movies or just going to the moon movies or just NASA movies. I don't know. I saw a movie the other day. I know none of you saw it. You were probably all in line to go watch Longlegs or whatever you were doing. But I went to the other big release that came out this week called Fly Me to the Moon with Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson, where they're two people who fall in love while working on the NASA stuff to get us to the moon. What would that look like? Well, I'll tell you. It looked pretty boring. It's a fine movie. But just got me thinking about like the best interpretations of this. Because, every genre you're allowed to like turn into a comedy. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to have fun, have fun. You should have fun. It's healthy to have fun. And I like space stuff. We'll get into it a little bit here. We have a little bit of news to talk about. Probably going to see the news slow down a bit before we head over to Comic-Con in a couple weeks. We'll do a big video when Comic-Con comes out, talking about all the news coming out from there. But until then, we have a little bit of sequel news, a little bit of no longer in theaters news, and a little bit of a trailer analysis for a specific thing we'll talk about. First up, let's get this out of the way. The least exciting thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Perhaps, not my whole life, but it's not something I'm excited about. Unfortunately, that is just the case, isn't it? Shrek 5 is in development July 2026, folks. It is that soon. They've probably been working on this for a while. Like, they showed off those new animation looks for Shrek. That was like, is this just for the Puss in Boots movie? Of course not. They're going to make a Shrek movie. Not a fan of Shrek. Have never been a fan of this franchise. The first movie, I've seen it enough where it irritates me now, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. I don't need this in my life anymore. I have no desire to keep this in my life, and it's just going to be something that is always around. So I guess you just got to put up with it. Just get used to it. Or whatever. But no, I don't care. Myers is returning. Diaz is returning. Eddie Murphy is returning. The biggest movie of 2026. Shrek 5. Or, no, I was going to be like, or it's not. It will be, because I also remember Puss in Boots doing really well. So this is going to do good. That's exciting to everyone you know who's a child or has never grown up in their life. These movies are boring. I don't think about them that interestingly. Okay. Another Lego sequel is in development. Guess what? Everyone wants to do a new Devils Wear Prada movie. The Devil Wears Prada. You familiar with the concept? What if movie was about Meryl Streep being mean? Is that even allowed in a movie? Well, she's returning. Stanley Tucci's returning. Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt are returning. All actors I enjoy. Do I need to see them do this specific thing? Not really. I'd like to see them all do other stuff. I really want to see Emily Blunt do something cool again. Feels like it's been a minute. And Anne Hathaway, well, she's having fun doing The Idea of You. But I don't know. Like, that first movie's good. I'm not going to deny it that. I think it is good. It's very interesting. It's the type of movie we don't make a lot of anymore. So maybe if we actually do this, we could do something special. But I don't know if we would do anything special with it. But I guess it'd have to be special for Streep to come on board, because she could just retire. But then again, she did do a season of Only Murders in the Building. So what do I know? Maybe she is hooking up with Martin Short, and we just don't know. That's all possible. All of that is possible. But this is interesting to, I guess, like 3 people. It's like the Shrek thing. It's either the biggest news in the world or you just don't care. And I fall into the category of, okay, I don't need this. Oh, man. So here's some sad news we have to talk about. Kevin Costner, a legendary filmmaker, someone who's made some very interesting movies. Some of them bad and weird. But has always taken a big swing when it comes to his Hollywood reputation. Well, guess what? Okay. Horizon, a movie I've talked about. I've done a review of Horizon. I don't love the movie, but what I do appreciate is Kevin Costner. divorcing his wife over this thing. Like, he is clearly passionate about this specific thing and wants to have it made. Well, he made one movie. It came out. It's called Chapter 1 of the Horizon American Saga. And it didn't do too good. I don't think at the time of this video's recording it has hit 30 million worldwide. And it looks like the first two films have a combined budget of around 100 million. So we're not looking good. Now, Costner's a guy who likes to play the long game. So clearly he's thinking about, the streaming numbers and the on-demand numbers and the physical media numbers. And that's how you build it up. That's how you keep it going. That's what he wants to do, which is exciting. Seeing like an actor today make those attempts, that's awesome. He's really trying something. We should appreciate him for that. I dig it. I respect him and I dig it. And Chapter 2 was supposed to come out at the end of August, but now it has been delayed indefinitely so the general audience can really connect with number 1. This is code for it underperformed more than we were expecting it to underperform, which makes sense. I think there's a lot of reasons this happened. Westerns are just not the money grab that used to be in cinemas. Kevin Costner is a name to a generation that has been conditioned to watch him on television. So if you have to make this sacrifice right here to get people back into cinemas, I get it. I think there is going to be a time soon where we see Horizon Chapter 2 in cinemas, probably by 2025. But this is bold. It is kind of sad to see that he couldn't get it done. But again, he made it. He's doing pretty good. I don't think he's going to be upset waiting a little longer. Might have to wait a little longer for the third and fourth movie, maybe if we even get the fourth movie. But this is important to do right, and he clearly wants to do it right. He's not going to rush this. He's not going to force it. We're going to take our time to actively make this special. So that's pretty cool. Gotta respect him for that. I hope it works for him. Like, it is really sad to me that Chapter 2 got delayed. Just like they released it from cinemas. But maybe just leaving Chapter 1 to hang in there a little bit longer could push it as far as it needs to go to make something. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see, won't we? Speaking of things I guess we'll see. This was very interesting to me. I saw it first appear on Discussing Film when I was scrolling on X randomly one day, and then I saw that it was actually confirmed on Deadline. So here's this is insane to me. I find it very interesting. Sam Claflin and Patrick Stewart to star in Barbaric, a series based on the comic in the works at Netflix from Sheldon Turner, Michael Bay circling to direct. Okay, Barbaric. I've talked about Barbaric a little bit when like the book first launched. I thought it was interesting. It's like kind of, edgy and satirical and like in a way that is not Conan and is not like Lord of the Rings, right? It's a barbarian. His name is Owen. He goes on a journey. He's kind of like cursed to do the right thing, and he's got like a talking axe. And they team up to fight evil. It's fine. I don't hate the book at all. It looks good. It is something that when you see it, you're just like, oh, this is strictly a comic book thing. I don't really need to see this thing adapted, but we live in a world where everything's adapted. Now, Sam Claflin, I think he's a good actor, and eventually he was going to be attached to one of these types of things. So getting one where you can do your own thing and just like make it your own, they can let you go crazy, that's pretty cool. He's going to be playing Owen supposedly, and then Patrick Stewart is going to be the voice of the axe, which, sure. I mean, inanimate objects that talk, they just bother me so much sometimes because I'm just like, I know where the joke's coming from. It's not going to interest me any some. And that was one of my main critiques of the book when I was reading it. Was like, I get the joke. I get it. Now, this article describes it as Deadpool meets Game of Thrones for the way it matches gonzo violence and humor. Sources said that. Cool. Set in a medieval fantasy world, the series chronicles the journey of Owen, a barbarian cursed to do the right thing, and his talking and horny acts as they unite to take on great evil. Why would Michael Bay direct this? That is so weird. That is a very specific thing. But you know what? Like, if it's television, which it looks like it's going to be television, would that be Michael Bay's first like television project where he is doing TV? That's crazy. Like on paper, like Barbaric, the TV show. Okay, makes sense. Sam Claflin, Patrick Stewart. Oh, those are big names. And then you're like, Michael Bay is going to direct? Okay, that's more than I expected. But that's not a problem. I just wasn't expecting that. So we'll see. This could be pretty interesting. I think it will be. I think we're going to see it be very interesting in some capacity. But if not, who knows? Could just be another one that just goes to the wayside. All right, time to talk a trailer. If you're excited about trailer talk, folks, because we got the trailer for Captain America, Brave New World, and boy howdy, could this not come out at a worse time. Oh, man. I don't want to get too political here. I don't. But a trailer for a big blockbuster movie showing like someone trying to shoot the president, it's a weird time for that to come out. That being said, this trailer didn't get me hyped. They really threw a lot of the Giancarlo Esposito stuff in there because they just filmed that and they want people to think about that. They don't want you to think about Sabra or Ruth or whatever we're calling her now. It feels like they changed her to be more like a Black Widow-y character as opposed to she's an Israeli superhero. I don't understand any of it. I don't know what the tone is we're going for here. It's truly weird to me that for Sam Wilson's debut as Captain America, yes, he was in the TV show. That came out 3 years ago. Nobody's thinking about it. He's gonna fight Hulk characters. Did we really not have the budget to get Daniel Bruhl as the villain or something? Or anything? I don't know. So many reshoots for this one. So expensive. The trailer did nothing to excite me but make it go, yeah, that's kind of interesting to look at. But we'll see, won't we? This could be the step in the direction that Marvel needs. I feel still trapped in like the time where they're like, oh, we were working on this in the writer strikes and there was some actor strikes and we just are rubbing our hands together hoping we can get this one out before a president is killed in real life. But Harrison Ford's Red Hulk. So if that's exciting to you, if that is exciting to you, and I know some people will find that exciting. Some people will. Not me. That does nothing for me. Because he's not doing the movements. It's not like he's walking around in the mocap. There's no way. But whatever. Could be a good. Or won't be. Either way, a Captain America movie's coming out next year in February. And it's probably going to be heavily criticized for multiple things going on in the movie. Awesome. Don't you love it when a Captain America movie comes out after an election? Have we ever had that happen? I don't think we have, but I guess we'll see how that works. One final piece of news to talk about, and I guess it's kind of interesting. I just wanted to bring it up because it's like the next project that Timothee Chalamet is potentially going to star in. This is him working on something from Josh Safdie. Not Benny. Not Benny. Benny's the one we all kind of like. But this is from Josh. Josh is the one that, I don't know. Does he have the talent? I guess we're going to find out with this project called Marty Supreme. And Timothee Chalamet is in early talks to play Marty Reisman. Or Reisman. He is the pro ping pong player. And you're like, okay. A24 makes sense. A Safdie makes sense. Timothee, okay. Ping pong. Hey, you made tennis cool this year. Guadagnino did, at least. So I guess a Safdie's gonna make this cool. I guess we'll see. Is Reisman working on this? I don't know. It looks like he might be. I guess we'll find out. I don't know. This could be something I don't think it is going to be anything, but it could be something. This could be something. I guess we'll find out. A24 has been in a very interesting place. So this who knows? This could be something. Also, Disney got hacked. Like all their channels were hacked or something. Doesn't matter. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's go to space. So, like I said at the top of the show, the other day I went to see Fly Me to the Moon. I could have went to Longlegs. Maybe I should have. Maybe I'd have a better time. This episode is not going to be a review of Fly Me to the Moon, but simply I wanted to talk about it because I think there's something to talk about here. This was a famous blacklisted script for a long time. I don't know why anybody would want to make it today, but I guess Greg Berlanti was that guy. There are worse movies to want to make, I guess. What if you made the rom-com about faking the moon landing? I guess that is an idea to have. I have nothing against the direction of this movie. The script is bad. It's a really bad script, and you could tell this was written 85 years ago because the jokes are not modern and nothing's fun about it. But I guess it's set in the 60s, so who cares? It gets the job done. It just started to make me think about how much I love the space program and stuff. I don't know. I am a sucker for this specific thing, and that is just going to space. I love the technicality of it all. I love everything about that. It never fails to make me emotional or teary-eyed. It never has. I don't know if it will. I get super emotional. I cannot believe I am saying this, but I got emotional watching Fly Me to the Moon because they have a sequence where the rocket is taking off and we cut to audience reactions of people standing all over the world just watching. And that makes me feel good. That gets me. I talked about this a while ago too. There's a documentary that came out on Netflix a little while ago called The Cosmic Time Machine or something like that, where it's about hey, we made the Hubble telescope, let's look at pictures. I was bawling by the end of that movie just at the prospect that another generation of just stargazers and astronomers can look up at these new pictures and learn something about space. I don't know why this stuff just makes me cry. There's multiple reasons for why that could be. Probably just because I love the idea of an infinite vastness that is ever expanding and the possibility that lies ahead. There's some prosperity and just something about the promise of that. I also just the 60s space race. I think that's so exciting and so interesting. Just the aspect of we really were pushing technology. I know that's such a specific thing to say, and it's so dumb. But in an era where we were just going through so many different things, and America in particular was going through this huge crisis, and there was a war, and just politics destroying itself and a world eating itself, it's so cool that through that there was just this advancement of technology and science, something that the world does experience all the time, but it was just in this bigger and more loud and exciting way. How long has it's felt like it's been a long time, I should say, since there was this huge push for science and exploration and technology where it didn't feel like a bunch of tech bros were ruining the world, where it's we are going to the moon. That's a really cool, really personal thing to want to experience and build upon and just be part of a collective in that aspect. It was such an interesting era for technology, and we were just pushing science forward. We were trying new physics stuff and just exploring the cosmos and just wanting to see what was out there. And the world just was this is something we have to do. We still go to space and we still do this stuff, but it just wasn't as exciting or loud as it used to be, which is just because there's too much stuff now, and you just got these billionaires just doing crap, and it's I don't need to hear Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk talk about their space stuff, and I guess that's where the future lies at the moment. But just having the government of America or of the world just build stuff to go to space, it just always makes me feel good. It's like we were really pushing science and technology, and I don't feel like we're pushing those things as much as we used to now. It kind of ended with the space race, and I don't know. It's just so sad. I just love that Erica. I just love that era of Americana, I should say. It's just so beautiful and so interesting, and just to cap off that, just like that vibe is just we got somebody on the moon. That is so cool to me and so much fun. And I'm just a little kid when it comes to this stuff. I love dinosaurs. I just love space. Like, we talk about so many different movies on this channel that are science fiction. And the closest thing that humanity as like a thing ever did to science fiction was going to the moon. We made that a reality. Like, we actually went there. That's crazy. And then we have like an international space station that's just orbiting. And we have like a million satellites everywhere. Like, it's awesome that we did that. And it came with a lot of like tragedy and brokenness and just fault. Like, things had to escalate and evolve and get better to get to the heights that we reached with going to the moon. That's so cool. It's so cool. And with something so successful comes the Project Artemis stuff. Did they fake the moon landing? Well, that's the premise of Fly Me to the Moon. And I don't know, this is not going to be a conspiracy episode. I want it to be more like, look at how cool NASA is, or was, I guess. NASA's still cool, but they just don't have it like they used to. I don't know. It's weird. But there's a section of people that believe or believed, I don't know if it's still like a common theory, that the moon landing was fake. Here's what I'll say about that. I think it is probably 100% true that they did stage the moon landing in some iteration. Whether that means they actually shown you footage that they filmed, or that it's like deep archival stuff that was burned the moment we actually got cameras on the moon, I don't know. What I do know is it is more than likely that there was some conspiracy by the government to keep America in the popular consciousness being better and more proactive in this field than the Soviets. That is very likely, very plausible. So if that meant you get some people in big NASA suits to stage a reenactment of what it could look like if they go there, that's probably what could happen. Is that what I think we saw? No, I think we saw the people on the moon. And I think that's pretty cool. It's very exciting and very fun. And it's like the feel-good stuff for me. I don't know. I just respond so well to it. Just like, we went to space, and we still have stuff in space. That's so cool. It's awesome. And we got like rovers and shit on other planets. We got like satellites and telescopes deep in space taking pictures of the galaxy and the cosmos and the infinity that is existence. Like, that is just the coolest thing in the world to me. And I just want to see more of it. I hope we can see more of that. Man, just space is awesome. I just love space. I mean, would I ever want to go is the real question. If I was like close to death, you remember when like William Shatner went up in like whatever the Jeff Bezos thing was, and he was like 90, and we're all like, should we put a 90-year-old in space? And he's like, you get a new appreciation of everything that's ever happened. I guess that's when I would do it. If I was like, if this goes wrong, I'm fine to die here. That's when I would do it. Because I love like, I don't know why we're talking about this, but I want to talk about it. I love the idea that everything is just so minuscule. I love that perspective. Like, just zooming out on like every interaction, every moment, everything. Currently, I'm talking into a microphone, and you're listening to that broadcast. And then galaxies away, there is just an ever-expanding nothingness that continues to develop and form new star systems and just all that shit. And it's like, what is going on? I love how vast it can be. It's so exciting. It's so cool. Like, we are just like on a big rock, and that rock is surrounded by nothingness, and that nothingness is growing, but there's other rocks and gas bodies near us that could sustain life or forms of life. Like, it could be a water or a fossil or something. There is the possibility deep out there other stuff could exist, and that's so cool. But even if that's not the case, right? Even if it's like, no, there's nothing else out there. How awesome is it that in like the 60s, the 1960s, we went to the moon? We had billions of dollars going into the moon. That is just cool. That is so fun. So I thought we'd talk about a couple of like the big movies about going to the moon, or about NASA, or just about space exploration. I guess not space exploration, because that could just be Star Trek. Just more like, this is grounded science fiction, or just based on true events. So obviously, I think we should start with the big one, which is probably the best movie about this stuff, which is The Right Stuff. The Right Stuff is incredible. It's an adaptation of the novel. It's just about the space program. The first 15 years of the space program. It's got John Glenn, Alan Shepard, all the guys. And it's just great. You just see like there is a push here. There's just science at play. We're trying to get everything looking accurate and right, and just having this feel real. Feel earnest, like this is how it's going to work. This is how we're going to study it and learn it. And it's like everything that comes from that. The failures and the successes, like it is all so invigorating to me. And I don't know if like today you'd say it's like the most accurate, but I think we have never truly captured it like that again, if that makes sense. We'd never try to go that high, to go that big. It is a long film, and it is very interesting to explore. And come on, like Ed Harris doing incredible work. It's so impressive. I really dig it. It's such a cool movie, and I love the spectacle. Like it's so cliche to say, but these guys should be like seen as heroes, even though it's not like them fighting the good fight in like Vietnam or something. They were risking their lives for science. For science. That is so cool. Just like the explorative nature of like what could be, what has been, what we're going to fight for. Like, we don't see that. And this is really cool. The Right Stuff is awesome. If you haven't seen the movie, it holds up incredibly well. It is shot beautifully. A while ago, Disney did try to make a TV show based off of it, and nobody watched it or cared to see it, because who cares about that? You have the perfect embodiment of everything that was, and it's still so much fun to see that explored. And to some extent, I will say that is the case with the next film we're going to talk about, Apollo 13. Which is the Ron Howard film, which is kind of in a similar space, you know? It's a little later into film history, but, it's still pretty interesting. It's still pretty cool. The lunar mission, it's exciting. Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton, Kevin Bacon, the big names in there. Ed Harris is also in this one. If you are interested, he's also here, which is cool. Like, it's awesome. It just looks good. We're strictly talking about like dramas, because obviously we could like do, here's every documentary about Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and how he went to the moon and all that stuff. I watched one very recently that was, I think it was from like the 80s or something, where it's just the guys talking about actually being in space. And it just changes everything you ever felt about existence. And I think that'd be cool to experience. Fuck it, man. That'd be so cool. Just ruin me, please. Oh my goodness. Like, it's such a fun genre, and I think the most perfect encapsulation of like loving this type of story in the modern context is the TV show For All Mankind, which takes the premise that the Soviets beat us to space, and now we are just escalating in timeline, and like it became prominent, like lunar travel, the exploration of space and the moon and our solar system. It became a prominent thing, and we just put so much money and science into behind it. And it's like this really interesting what if is like what could have been, what is, and man, it's so cool. It is just so cool. It's so fun. Like, oh, it's just so awesome. I love it when that happens. For All Mankind is not a show I am up to date on, which is unfortunate, but it is just everything I want to see in a story. I don't know why I'm behind on it. It's exactly what I should want to watch. Because it seems good. It seems awesome. All right, here's another good movie from a director that I love, First Man. Do you remember after winning his, Oscar for La La Land, Damien Chazelle said, next one, okay? You ready for this one, folks? I'm going to do the Neil Armstrong movie. I'm going to do the Neil Armstrong movie with Ryan Gosling, and it's going to be good. You're like, you're right. It is going to be good. It's visually pleasing. It is so different than what you'd be expecting. It's a little more quiet and stoic and about like a man who is broken enough to actually want to leave everything behind and investigate a future. It's a really beautiful movie. It doesn't have like the emotional like resignation of like, we did it, guys, we made it there. Oh man, am I a sucker for a bunch of people behind like a board of computers, and they start cheering and clapping every time something goes right. Oh, I am a sucker for that. It makes me feel so good. Just the weight of that all. Like, we accomplished something impossible. We did it. We're here. Makes me feel so good. This movie doesn't really feel like that. It is more just, what if Neil Armstrong was a flawed man? And he had some issues. But when you go to space, you put those aside, and you eventually solve something. I just hit my desk. What is this? Sorry, I'm looking at pictures of First Man on like Google, and here's what came up: who was really the first man on Earth, and where did he come from, according to history, not the Bible? No, that's not. No, we're talking about Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon. Who cares about the caveman? That's a whole other video when we talk about quest for fire and stuff. All right, should we just jump over to Hidden Figures? You know, what if like some sassy ladies helped the moon landing? And they did. Look, it's a good movie. I'm all for Hidden Figures. I was kind of treating it sillily there, and I apologize. But it is a fun movie about what if there was people involved in NASA that you didn't know were involved in NASA. What would that look like? Well, it'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? It'd be pretty cool. Octavia Spencer, Taraji T. Henson, and Janelle Monáe. Is that the other one? Yeah, she's the other one. You're like, hey, cool. What if these cool ladies like help NASA? And you're like, yeah, what if they did? What would that look like? Be awesome, actually. A fine movie. It's not one I've gone back to a lot compared to the other ones. I think just because it's more recent, and I know the points it's trying to hit, and that kind of takes away. Takes away is the wrong word. I don't know how to say this. Like, when I go to a space movie, and it's the problem I had to Fly Me to the Moon as well, I want it to be about like the world watching something and not honing in on a specific person, but more like the idea. That's what I look for. It's why First Man, while I think is good, doesn't really land for me every time. It's why Hidden Figures isn't like, my favorite of the genre, but I think this is an important movie. It's cool that it got made. And guess what? Glenn Powell is John Glenn in it, so that's crazy to think about. Remember that. Speaking of Kevin Costner, he's in this one too. What if like Kevin Costner was the white guy that said, stop it, ladies, this is for real scientists? They're like, yeah, shut the fuck up and let us do our job then. I don't know, that'd be pretty cool. It made a lot of fucking money too, so it can't be that bad. That's exciting. Here's a fun one. This one less based on like historical people and more just like what if like an idea took place, and that idea was Matt Damon is lost in space. The Martian. You know what? Let's do another Matt Damon lost in space movie right connected to it. Interstellar. 2 movies from auteur directors Ridley Scott and Christopher Nolan. The Martian. What if we had to use science to stay alive on Mars? You're like, what would that look like? Well, I guess this is as accurate as we could get where that becomes a thing that has never happened before. So that's cool. I think this movie's a little easy and kind of cheesy, but I love some good cheese sometimes. Slather some cheddar on something and I'm all for it. I think it works. I think this movie works. You know, Damon is the type of guy you're like, yeah, I mean, I'd watch him do anything, really. And this is the type of movie where that works. A little more science fiction-y than the other stuff, but it is based in real science. This is how you would operate. This is how you'd believe this stuff. So you can't be too upset about that. Same with something like Interstellar, which is more about like time dilation and all that crap. I am not the biggest fan of Interstellar. I know. I am aware of what Interstellar is and how important it is and prominent. It's not my go-to. Of the two, I'd rather watch The Martian. I think it's a more entertaining movie. And it's got more of like the stuff I want to see from my space epics, which is just people on Earth in a boardroom being like, how do we do a science right now to save our science boy? And they're like, well, we could do this, that, and that. And then a room of people just go like, oh, we did it, yes, when they save the science boy. Yeah, it's awesome. The Martian's a good movie. The Martian, a good movie. Interstellar, it's a good movie. Not one I love, but I'm not going to deny you the Interstellar is good, because it is. And we have fun with it. What else do we want to talk about? Should we talk about the Armageddon Deep Impact timeline? I don't think we need to. We didn't bring up Michael Bay earlier in the movie, or in this episode, I should say. I don't think we need to talk about it. Armageddon's not a real movie, or not a real, like, realistic thing. There's an asteroid, we gotta fight it. Sure. We don't make a lot of these anymore. Let's Google movies about NASA and see what comes up. Okay, The Martian, First Man, Apollo 13. Space Cadet, is that about NASA, that new one that came out? Okay, Emma Roberts, cool. Moonfall, don't even start with me. I guess Space Cowboys would be another one that's got those guys in it. It's like a bunch of old people. What if old people did stuff? I don't know. Gravity? Gravity's a fun movie. What if you were stuck in space? I'd fuck you up, eh? Gravity is scary because you're just like, what if that happened? Nothing good could come from it. That'd be scary. That'd be scary. I don't know. I like it. Yeah, there's not a bunch that Google is showing me here. What do you got? Wikipedia? Anything else that's worth investigating? Oh yeah, I guess there was that one that came out last year. ISS, where it's like Ariana DeBose was like trapped in space and the Earth blew up. That did happen. Cool. Armageddon, The Astronaut. What's The Astronaut? Made for television. No, we want real movies here. I don't know. See, we got the best one. It's The Right Stuff, which is the best one ever made. Apollo 13 and First Man. Those are like the best ones. What else? The Martian. Yes, we will have The Martian in there. It's fine. The 97 Rocket Man movie. No, sorry, not adding it. That's nothing. This list says Tomorrowland, which I am not going to include Tomorrowland. It's not the same thing. That is its own can of worms. I'm talking about like a bunch of men walking down a corridor into an elevator to get on the rocket, and everyone at Mission Control is sweating and panicking, and there's people in the bleachers watching a rocket take off. We're all cheering, God bless America, and Richard Nixon shows up for some reason because he was around when this happened. That's what I'm talking about. And Gravity is in there too, just because it's like, what if the world was scary and you were lost in space and you had nowhere to go and you were George Clooney for some reason was in it too? That'd be terrifying. Terrifying. Remember Moonfall? I'm sorry. Do you guys remember Moonfall, Roland Emmerich's movie, where it's like, what if the moon was coming to Earth, but it turned out the moon was actually like where we came from? Ugh, God, what a stupid movie. See, I guess we don't need to make another one, because The Right Stuff is the best it's been. And when Disney tried to make a TV show on the right stuff, nobody watched it. So if we even attempted to do it again, nobody would give a shit because we nailed it the first time when we did it. I don't know. Like, I get why you do a Neil Armstrong biopic. Like, that works fine. But then there's nothing else you can really talk about with space because we haven't had anything else really happen. You know, we don't have, like, modern day astronauts. Like, we don't have the equivalent to Neil Armstrong. We just, like, know the name today. So there's nothing else you could really do about today's people. I guess you could do something about, like, the space station, which I would love to see. Something about the space station. That'd be really cool. But I don't know if we'd ever, like, truly attempt that now. If we would want to do something that big again. Or whatever. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. We'll have to want to see. But I don't know. What am I saying? I don't know. It's just sad. I love that era so much. Just, we're going somewhere. We're doing something. And then we don't have that again, really, because fucking Jeff Bezos becomes the guy to do it. And I'm like, I don't want to see a billionaire achieve the impossible. I want real people to do it. I want to go to NASA. They just let you, like, go there, right? You can just visit. I want to go there. God damn it. Oh, all of these movies at some point that we've talked about, except for Armageddon, probably have got me very emotional. So, and Interstellar. I've never gotten emotional with Interstellar. I just can't connect with that one. This stuff just works for me. It just connects with me. It makes me feel good. I am somebody who loves, like, science versus religion. I think it's a very interesting concept to explore. I love both aspects of it. And just knowing there was a brief moment during a very, like, tumultuous period, I should say, not tenacious, tumultuous period of American history where we put science first. That was really cool to me. That makes me happy. That makes me smile. I really dig that. And I really dig all the stuff we did on the moon. I think it's cool. I'm glad we went there. We should went there. It's pretty exciting. It's a fun idea. We went to the moon, folks. We went to the moon. And you know what? We have a rover on Mars, or we did. It might be dead. I can't remember. All I could say is there's a documentary called Unknown Cosmic Time Machine. I cried. And if you watch it, you're probably not going to cry like I did, but I cried watching that fucking documentary. What a time to be alive, folks. No, it's not. It sucks. The world sucks. I think this week we're going to talk about, like, another big science thing that it doesn't matter. Whatever. Thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, keep your head to the clouds, look up into the stars, and dream big. Does October sky count? I guess it would count. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.